Welcome to the deep dive. Today, we're digging into something that, well, based on the materials we've looked at, feels like a really significant shift, a major change in global power.
Yeah, it centers around this pretty blockbuster cotton trade agreement between Bangladesh and Burkina Faso.
But it's way more than just commerce, isn't it?
Absolutely. What's particularly striking is how it's being framed. Not just a trade deal, but a seismic shift,
Seismic, wow.
in global trade, yeah. A direct challenge to what one of our sources is calling the old world order.
So our mission today is basically to unpack how Burkina Faso under Captain Ibrahim Traoré is trying to redraw its own future.
Exactly. Using agriculture, these maybe surprising new partnerships, it could genuinely be a kind of blueprint for other nations on the continent.
And it seems to touch everything, economics, sure, but also security, diplomacy. It makes you really question where global power is actually heading.
Definitely. This deal, it feels like just the latest piece of a much bigger puzzle, a larger story unfolding there.
Okay, so let's start with the deal itself, this bombshell proposal you mentioned.
Right. It came from Bangladesh's ambassador, Major General Abul Hasnat Mohammed Bashar. He proposed it directly to President Traoré.
A direct cotton trade agreement.
Yeah. And you have to understand, for Bangladesh, their textile industry is massive, like 16% of their GDP. They need a steady stream of good cotton.
And Burkina Faso happens to have, well, world-class cotton, according to our sources, a vital resource for literally millions of people there.
Precisely. So for Burkina Faso, this is huge. A golden ticket, as one source put it, to open up new markets for their growers.
Makes perfect sense. A clear win-win on the surface.
But the cooperation they discussed, it went much, much deeper than just cotton.
Okay. How so?
Well, beyond the cotton itself, Bangladesh offered technical help, expertise in agriculture.
Like what specifically?
Things like irrigation techniques, managing pests better, boosting crop yields, and, critically, improving post-harvest logistics, getting the product out efficiently.
That's quite comprehensive.
And it didn't stop there. The talks apparently broadened out into health, microfinance, education, even other aspects of the textile industry. Really multifaceted.
And then there were these other elements, right? The diplomatic side.
Yeah, that's where it gets even more interesting. They proposed visa exemptions for diplomatic passport holders.
Okay.
Setting up structured political dialogues, planning high-level visits between the countries.
Standard diplomatic stuff, maybe?
To a point. But then came what the source called a surprising twist.
Oh.
Bangladesh offered military training, specifically in peacekeeping operations and disaster response.
Military training. That's definitely a step beyond cotton.
And apparently, Traoré welcomed this with open arms. That really signals a partnership moving into security, diplomacy, not just trade.
So this isn't happening in a vacuum. It's part of a bigger strategy for Burkina Faso.
Absolutely. We saw evidence they've already signed agreements with, I think, 8 countries. Bangladesh, India, Turkey, Cuba were mentioned.
All focused on deepening this South-South cooperation.
That's the term used, yeah. And it's pretty clearly positioned as a way to challenge, or at least bypass, traditional Western influence.
It's a bold move. And it speaks volumes about Traoré's approach.
It really does. I mean, think about his background. He took power in September 2022, just 34 years old.
Inspired by Thomas Sankara, reportedly.
That's the connection often made, yes.
Yeah.
And he declared this war on dependency and mediocrity.
Driven by that mantra, he who feeds you controls you.
A very powerful idea. And the document suggests he's putting serious resources behind it, not just words.
Right, that move in 2024, instead of, the usual story of leaders buying luxury cars.
Exactly. He did something completely different, invested, 78 billion CFA francs?
A huge sum. And what did it buy?
A concrete things, 400 tractors, over 200 motorcycles, hundreds of motor pumps, hundreds more motorcycles specifically for farm agents.
So tools for the farmers.
Tools and inputs, too. Massive amounts of fish food, fertilizer products to protect plants, vegetable seeds, concentrated animal feed.
It feels like a fundamental shift in where government money goes. From status symbols to, shovels and seeds.
That's a good way to put it. It's presented as being about national dignity, self-sufficiency, giving farmers the actual tools they need to feed the nation.
And this investment extends beyond just equipment, right? There are infrastructure projects, too.
Yes, big ones, like the Regional Support Project for the Sahel Irrigation Initiative, PARISTIF, they call it.
What did that achieve?
It developed 1,800 hectares of land, helped over 21,000 people directly. How? with things like solar-powered irrigation systems.
Clutter power.
Smart in introducing drought-resistant crops, adapting to the conditions.
And wasn't there something about a tomato factory?
Yes, a $12 million tomato processing factory.
Yeah.
And the key thing here, funded entirely with local money.
No foreign loans or aid for that specific project.
Apparently not. The goal was clearly value addition, processing their own produce, cutting down on imports, creating local jobs.
And it seems to be working. Exports are up.
The reports say yes. Cotton, sesame, mango exports are all soaring.
It's quite a turnaround. And it seems like a core part of this is focusing on the people, especially young people.
Definitely. Burkina Faso has an incredibly young population, median age around 17, 18 years old.
Wow, that young.
And Traore's government seems to see that youth bolds not as a problem, but as a huge asset.
So what are they doing for them?
Well, in 2025, they trained over 2,000 young Burkinabe, specifically in modern farming techniques and, interestingly, civic education, too.
Combining practical skills with national consciousness.
Seems like it. And they even offered free land to agricultural students. Imagine that.
That could really change perceptions, making farming seem like a real opportunity, not just a last resort.
A beacon of opportunity was the phrase used in one source.
Alongside empowering youth, there were also reforms in the justice system. That sounded pretty radical.
They were described as sending shockwaves, yeah. The idea was to align the justice system more closely with traditional African values.
How did that translate practically?
One major change allowed prisoners to work in agriculture to reduce their sentences.
Really? How did that work?
The formula mentioned was 1 month of farm labor equals a 3-month reduction in sentence time.
That's interesting. It serves multiple goals at once. Rehabilitation, maybe, but also boosting food production.
Exactly. And there was a symbolic change, too, replacing the old colonial-style judicial robes and wigs.
What did they replace them with?
Traditional garments, made from local Burkinabe cotton, faisans en fani, a very visible statement about cultural identity and self-reliance.
So we've talked about tractors, factories, reforms, but what does this actually feel like for ordinary people? Does it make a real difference?
The sources give us a powerful example. A woman named Amina Dio, 34 years old, mother of 4, living in Kudugu.
And what was her situation?
Just a few years back, she was really struggling. Finding enough food for her children was a constant battle.
A familiar story in many places, unfortunately.
But then these government initiatives kicked in. Access to tractors, better seeds, training, and crucially, access to that new tomato processing factory for her produce.
And the result for her?
Transformative. Her millet yields tripled. She started growing new crops they hadn't before. She became a leader in her community.
Wow.
And her quote really sticks with you. She said, "Traore gave us more than tools, he gave us hope. My children will never know hunger again."
That's incredibly powerful. It suggests this isn't just abstract policy, it's changing lives.
That's the picture being painted, yes. Real, tangible change. And Amina's story isn't isolated.
It connects to the infrastructure piece too, right? Because having crops is one thing, but getting them somewhere is another.
Absolutely critical. Poor transport infrastructure has always been a massive hurdle for farmers across much of Africa, including Burkina Faso.
Stuff spoiling on the side of the road, high transport costs eating up profits.
Exactly. A real chokehold on agricultural potential.
So what's Traore's answer to that?
An incredibly ambitious road building program. The goal stated is 5,000 kilometers of roads annually.
5,000 kilometers a year, that's huge. Is that realistic?
It's certainly ambitious. The reports claim over 1,500 kilometers were paved by July 2025. But what's maybe even more significant is how they're doing it.
How so? What's different?
They've apparently rejected using foreign contractors for these projects.
Really? That goes against the usual model.
Completely.
Yeah.
Instead, they're training local engineers, local young people, to do the work.
Building local capacity.
Yes. And using solar-powered machinery where possible, locally sourced building materials. It's designed to keep the money, the jobs, the skills within Burkina Faso.
That sounds like a model of self-reliant development in itself, building sovereignty literally from the ground up.
That's a great way to frame it. There's mention of a flagship 200-kilometer highway project from the capital, Ouagadougou, as a major example.
And again, does this translate into real benefits for people like Amina?
We have another story illustrating this. Isu Aidrao, a 42-year-old sesame farmer in a place called Lao.
What was his experience?
For years, getting his sesame harvest to market was a nightmare. Long, difficult journeys on poor roads. He said he often lost half his potential profit just to transport costs and spoilage.
Yeah, frustrating for him.
Hugely. But then A new 60-kilometer paved road was built connecting his area, part of Traore's initiative.
And what changed for Isu?
Everything, it sounds like. Travel time and costs plummeted. His yields doubled because he could manage his farm better and get inputs easier.
Fantastic.
He joined a farmers' cooperative that now exports sesame directly to Bangladesh, connecting back to that trade deal.
Wow, full circle.
He built a new, better house for his family. His 3 daughters are now able to attend secondary school.
Education, too. The ripple effects are significant.
And it wasn't just the road. The improved access also brought reliable electricity and a new health clinic to his village.
So connectivity really is about more than just transport. It's about overall development. Isu's story makes that very clear.
It really does. And connecting this back to the bigger picture, Burkina Faso's story, as presented, is meant to be a kind of microcosm of Africa's potential.
Right. You hear the stats often. Africa has, 60% of the world's uncultivated arable land?
Something like that, yes.
Yeah.
Theoretically, enough land to feed itself many times over
Yeah.
and contribute significantly to global food security.
Yet the reality is the continent imports billions of dollars worth of food every year, about $50 billion annually, according to the source material.
It's described starkly as a shameful paradox.
Yeah.
And the sources partly attribute this historical failure to, well, leadership issues in many places over the decades.
So the argument is that Burkina Faso, under Traoré, is showing a different path. Proof that this paradox can be broken.
That's the narrative being put forward, yes. And it ties into broader continental initiatives like the African Continental Free Trade Area, the AFCTA.
That's the big agreement aiming to boost trade within Africa, right?
Exactly. And the potential is massive. If trade barriers fall, projections suggest intra-African agricultural trade could increase by over 500%, specifically 574% by 2030.
That would be transformational.
And it challenges the old narratives about Africa's role. The sources get quite provocative here,
How so?
suggesting a potential power shift. One quote was, "The West, which has exploited Africa for centuries, could soon find itself at the mercy of a continent that knows its worth."
Strong words, emphasizing a move away from dependency on aid towards self-determined trade and strength.
Precisely, from aid to trade, driven by African resources and African leadership.
Which brings us back to leadership itself. The sources seem to draw a sharp contrast.
They did. There's a fairly pointed critique of what they call corrupt African leaders, the stereotype of politicians in luxury cars while people struggle.
Contrasting that directly with Traoré's approach.
Yes. His focus on sacrifice, investing in agriculture, in youth, in infrastructure, rather than personal enrichment. The message is clear. Africa's potential can be unlocked by leaders who genuinely serve their people, not exploit them.
Leaders who serve, not steal, as one source put it.
That's the phrase used, yes.
So wrapping this all up, what should you, our listener, take away from this deep dive?
I think it comes back to those individual stories. Amina Dio, Isu Aidro.
Their experiences aren't just anecdotes. They're presented as evidence that this shift, this revolution, is actually happening on the ground.
Building real futures, from the fields on the new roads. The argument is that Burkina Faso is actively proving that Africa can feed itself and perhaps even lead.
Which leaves us with a pretty profound question to ponder, posed by the source material itself.
Right. What if more leaders across the African continent truly adopted this kind of vision?
Investing heavily in agriculture, empowering their young populations, consciously rejecting dependency, building their own infrastructure.
What kind of world could that create? How would that reshape global power dynamics?
Could we really see a future where, as the source provocatively asks, the West bows to Africa's might?
It's a future that challenges a lot of assumptions. But the materials leave you with this thought.
The soil is ready, the youth are eager, and the world is watching. It certainly invites you to look at the potential of the African continent and its changing place in the world with fresh eyes.